The Delusive Existence by Ruben D. Garcia. Just imagined a strong and moving life filled of wonderful memories about what it means to be truly happy both spiritually and emotionally. Such was the divine spectrum once within the preambles of humanity thousands of years ago. Instead, the true reality of most of humanity was marked by worries, fears and tragedies. Let's face it, the happy and nurturing life was a wet dream. It was eras of fear of existence in many cases, and in fact having fear was the energy that allowed us to survive under unimaginable conditions. Why was this a prevalent irrational way of thinking so wedged in all of human existence, and why lasted for so long? The answer is within every human being that experienced it all through all the many lives he lived. In this case you don't need to be a psychologist to recognize that it was outer influence that negotiated in our minds those fears. Somehow, some exalted above and imposed themselves upon humanity as the spiritual guides by enacting rules, ordinances and mandates that constrains human thinking. It was a difficult journey for humanity of the past to take, any journey, whether physically or mentally, to seek the place where any one of us belonged and consequently understand our purpose in this entire phenomenon called creation. In short, humanity was impelled into a way of thinking ruled by fear, animosity, and vengeance, and in many cases death was the result of failing to comply with any one of the dictated rules. The imperturbable leaders that sought dominion over the lives of the human beings under their control found within the psyche of the human beings that fear of losing one's spirit, eternal soul and possibly their body were the key to control the masses. The more the ruling became stringent and almost absolutes, the greater the obedience and respect from the target masses. Those impassive leaders understood the power of fear to such degree that lasted thousands of years until this century. However, all these trauma and dramas of the past from which humanity has risen, happily we can say that humanity is in the final stretch in determining its fate as it was originally intended by God, the divine creator. The spiritual and emotional air is cleaner and purer. Our hearts and beating like drums with rhythms of joy and happiness, whereas in the past were filled with sorrow and pain. As humanity returns to the original ways of God, the infinite and divine will placed upon our foreheads the symbol of his supremacy, not as tattoo to be worshipped or recognized as a symbol of uniqueness. Oh, no. It will be the side from which our divine abilities will exercise full control of our own realities. No longer will you be required to adhere to the wishes and desires of someone else's wisdom or intellectual fortitude, but you will rely on your own abilities that will surpass the ones you call today supreme leaders. Thus, the delusive existence of the past is no more. Its brilliance is slowly fading as a candle is within its last flickering, and its flame becomes smaller and smaller with each second that passes by. The drums of assembling to this glorious momentous occasion are filled with the largest congregation of spirit guides accompanying you and many others along this divine journey of ascension. You are becoming an honorable member of a unique collective of heroes that recently embarked in the greatest quest to bring humanity from the pits of misery and affliction and stand above the spiritual horizon as divine being of supreme relevance and honor. Humanity, mankind is returning home triumphant, and you are one of these heroes, raising your voice above the murmuring of those that cannot yet see what you can see through your heart with candor and homage. In fact, some of the bewildered and unbeliever you will encounter may disclose that what all that is taking place on earth and affecting humanity is nothing more than some hocus pocus filled with deception and tricks for the weak of mind. But fear not, for what you are feeling with all of these arriving energies are bringing a higher consciousness for humanity and are as real as it is the stars above. The book of life will have your name written within. Your name will be praised in all edges of this universe, and your membership in the collective will be honored with an order of holiness and spiritual dignity. And the calmness and loving attitudes of you, ascended beings, will baffle the misguided, confused and bewildered ones with troubled minds, but it will be you, the light worker ascended to a high level of peace, harmony and love, that takes upon yourself to be an example of such divine honor and assist the bewildered and confused ones to believe in themselves and trust their divine instincts as you did also in the beginning. Dare yourself to be a divine spiritual tool of the Great Source and begin enlightening that large mass of spiritual dislocated human beings that for thousands of years relied on someone else to decide for them, and now it is their time to think and act at their own free will and be fully committed to personal change to experience divine peace and love and be not tenacious to a past that only brought misery, pain, sorrow and much more in their lives. Enough is enough, my beloved human brothers. It is time to let the past earth, the ancient earth, go and receive the new you, the new earth and your new life with all the divine virtues and designs you are entitled to. Stop clinging to past painful memories and ill-fated emotions that eroded your divinity before God. You are a divine being. You are the result of a divine purpose and citizen of an unquestionable celestial community. Feel no guilt of the happiness that comes from the Supreme Creator, God, and is God that makes you feel so good in all you do for the better of humanity. Do all these with the purity of heart filled with peace, harmony and unconditional love, which are the cornerstone of this divine transformation on the earth and all its inhabitants, great and small. Yes, my friends, in the light of truth, glance over your shoulders and see where you have been, and then fix your sight at what awaits before you as the light of the great Creator shines the path before you toward His dominion. Remember, the battles are over. The insidious acts of the dark side and its members and colleagues are no longer a need for concern, for they are becoming as autumn leaves that fall from the tree by a strong wind to never return back to the tree but perish and withered. However, you remain strong and live again to bring fruit, leaves and shade. Thus, you belong within the collective of light and love. You belong here with the awakened ones and the enlightened ones. And so it is and forever will be. Namaste.